So, folks, this is the second part of our disaster preparedness educational session. Tonight, we have Damarys Sepulveda coming to talk to us about her experience actually living through a 7 magnitude earthquake in Guatemala City at the tender age of 13. And I thought it would be just so helpful to actually speak to someone who's experienced what that feels like, what it looks like, things that were helpful to her, things that weren't helpful, just so we can actually learn from her experience and see how it can help us prepare. So Damarys, over to you. Tell us what that was like.
Well, Holly, living through an earthquake, actually surviving through an earthquake, has been the most traumatic experience of my life. And I have lived to war, to immigration, to volcanoes explosions, through so many things. Yet nothing has traumatized me more than earthquake. It's just a few seconds. It's not a long time, you know. I think it was 13 seconds, and in that matter, 25,000 people lost their lives in Guatemala in 1976. Left me with trauma that I am still carrying. I cannot go to bed if the doors are blocked. I always have to open the doors and make sure there is nothing on the way. And if I feel the floor trembling, even if it's just a SkyTrain passing by, my heart responds immediately because the trauma is never erased, not from an earthquake. Yeah.
What did it feel like? Like, did it happen at nighttime or daytime, or what was that like?
That earthquake was, it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, you know. So we were sleeping, and I remember I was a child, so I used to really like small quakes, you know, that shake your bed, and you felt it was quite like a funny experience, because in Latin America and Central America, there's a lot of quakes. And I remember this one, this was particularly frightening. The noise is like a noise you never hear before that comes from the center of the earth. So loud, so strong, it's like breaking of rocks, and the earth is breaking apart. So it's making a horrible sound. The earth was shaking to the point that from the bed to the floor, you could fall in a second. We couldn't get out of the bed. It was shaking so much that we couldn't move. And we could hear my sisters calling from one of the bedrooms, my brothers calling from the other bedroom, my dad trying to get to us and not being able to. And you can hear the glass breaking, and the house, our house, it was a brand new house, and it has anti-seismic construction, the very first few houses with anti-seismic construction. And it broke in half, actually. He bent it down because part of the house went down to about 1 meter down, and the other part stayed up. So the whole roof went like this. So the back bedrooms were underneath, and all the walls on the side crumbled. And in just a fraction of a second, you can't move, really, you can't move while those few seconds are happening. The earth shakes so much that you can't stand on your 2 feet. But it's just a few seconds, and after those few seconds, we managed to get out of the house. My sisters, unfortunately, were trapped. The door and the closet covered their entrance, and my father had to struggle with my brother to open the doors and to get them out. And it was traumatizing because it's something horrible is happening. And there was a gap in the pavement of about a meter in between one side or the other that wasn't there before, and a huge hole and when you come outside, all the neighbors are coming out too, all of them traumatized and afraid with their children, with whatever they could grab. And we stay outside all the way until it was daylight, freezing, because you're afraid to get out and get a blanket for yourself or a sweater just with your, very light pajamas. And Guatemala is cold, is cold, and it was February, one of the coldest months in the city.
So you went outside. Is there anything that was helpful for you at that time, Damarys?
Well, we were not prepared at all for an earthquake. There was no earthquake education at that point, so we didn't have a kit or blanket or nothing outside. But what was helpful was that immediately all the neighbors congregated together. So it was like a magnet, everybody just close together to talk about it, to support each other, to warm up each other, because as you are together with other people, you emanate heat. And so that keeps us warm, especially the children, many, many little children, and all of us very, very cold. Yeah.
So it sounds like it would have been helpful to have some emergency equipment on hand, or like a quick pack to a blanket even. What about your feet? Was there glass that you were stepping on when you were trying to get out of the house?
Fortunately, not for us. The front area of the house that has most of the windows did not break. It was the back of the house that broke, and the glass fell towards the patio, not towards the entrance. And so we did not have that bad experience, but many other people did have that experience. You go out, you find your shoes. Over here, I think it would be different because people tend to not have the shoes close to their beds. In Latin America, we use our shoes all the time. No, we don't take them off. So you just take them off when you go to bed, and you have them right beside the bed. So when you come out of the bed, you put them on and you go. It's automatic. But over here, I think not having shoes will be a problem. So if I knew what I know now, I think it would have been very helpful to have a kit outside the house, not inside the house, in a place where it's accessible, quick for you to pick up and go. And that will have blankets for sure, water for sure, a flashlight for sure, because we didn't have anything. We had to stay there in the darkness until the morning came.
How long were you without water?
There was no water in the city at all. We could not drink the water because the water was, we didn't know if the sources were contaminated, since there was so much disaster in the whole city, fires and gas leaks and you name it. So we didn't have water that day, but the next day I think there were pipes getting water for drinking water for us. On those days, there were no bottled water. Okay, that didn't exist. So we had to wait until knowing if the water from the pipes were fine or not. Yeah, and it's the whole entire city. It's not that you're gonna go to the next neighborhood to get water. The entire city of almost 5 million people was affected.
Wow. Wow, that sounds like quite an experience to live through, and very traumatic. No wonder you carry those memories with you. Has it changed the way you thought about disaster preparation yourself, Damarys?
Well, yes, of course, because I'm always aware of earthquakes. Something happened. I think there was a small earthquake when my priest was about 5 years old, and she was in school. There was a little one in Seattle that it felt all the way in Vancouver, and I was in the apartment when that happened, and here in Canada. And I remember at the beginning I thought it was the SkyTrain, but then when I saw the lamps moving and the desk, everything on the desk kind of dancing, the panic just went right from my heart to my head. And I ran out of the apartment just to find out that when I opened the door, there was a long corridor to the exit.
Mhm.
Or on the other side, there's a window I could throw myself from the third floor down. So my panic was even stronger because I had no choice to go one way or the other. You know, I didn't know how to save myself in that situation. So since then, I realized that it's very important to train your mind in what to do. For example, once in a while, every 6 months, you make yourself think that, okay, there's an earthquake happening. So you know that you have your rug right here, that you have your shoes at the entrance, that you have your kit on one side, and you practice because your memory will remember that. So you practice, and then you know you are in a building, so you know where the exit is, and so you don't surprise yourself. It was terrifying for me to feel the panic and to find out that I knew how to act in Latin America because we live in houses, and my expectation was I'm getting out of this house to the street. But instead of the street, I found a long corridor full of doors, and it wasn't what my mind was trained to do. So it's very important to train your mind to know where to exit, how to exit, what to pick up. So it's automatic in the moment of an earthquake. There is no time to think.
No.
There is no time to train yourself the day there is an earthquake. You need to train yourself when there is no earthquake.
That's great advice, Damarys, to be able to review that, to have a kit handy. I think having a fire extinguisher in the house is a good idea as well. And as you said, you know, just being able to, being mindful of it so that the training is there. That's good. Any last thoughts, Damarys?
Well, I do hope I never had to go back to feel that fear again. And I hope that nobody else has to go through that because it's quite terrifying. But I know that the earth is coming to a point in which this might happen sooner than what we think. So being prepared, I think, is the best option that we have. We don't know we will survive. Things just happen in fractions of seconds. So you cannot plan for that. But the more prepared you are, the better chances you will have to at least feel comfortable during the survival mode. Yeah, until things go back to somehow normal. Things never really go back to fully normal for a long time.
Damarys, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. That's really helpful to know and to try and capture a little bit of what that feeling is, you know, living through an earthquake. It's kind of a surreal experience, I think, because people can't even imagine the sounds going on at the time and the physical feelings, the shaking of the world around us and ourselves as well. That the fact that you can't even stand up while that's happening, that really brought it alive for me. So I really appreciate your time and just sharing that with us. Thank you so much, Damarys.
You're very welcome, Holly. Have a